yes, here we go. We are back for year number 2 of Football Friday here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. I'm Johnny Montalbano. Great to be back with you for another full season of NFL action. And, I've been teasing this for the past couple of weeks. As I said, year number 2, if you thought last year was a lot of fun, and it was, well, this year is going to be taken to a whole new level. And I guess, like last year, I cannot do this segment alone. So I guess it's time to reveal surprise number 1. And I guess I'll just say, players, please. Look at that. See, I told you I can't do this alone, and boy, can I not. I've got Nick Morgasen from Empty the Bench. I've got Paul Lombardi from the 3&D. I've got Ben Kruse. I've got Hank Indictor, my buddy from Hidden for the Cycle. And I've got Nick DiMartino with us as well. Now, unfortunately, we don't have Tom Albano, but we do have him because I do have his picks, and we do have a little, surprise down the road. Guys, good to see you all. How you doing?
It's football season. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it.
It sure is. It's been 8 months in the making, although in some ways it feels like we just did this a couple of weeks ago, right? But it is going to fly by like it does every single year. As we're recording this right now, the season's about to kick off between the Lions and the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs. So we just to let you all know, in that pick, I'm the only one that's kind of different from everybody else in that I took the Lions plus the points. Everybody else took Kansas City to win and cover. I think Kansas City's going to win, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than what the spread indicates. But we'll see what we could do. There's the other change this year, which is kind of like what Nick and Tom did on Empty the Bench last year, is that there will be a point system as well. So if based on if the team wins, if the team wins doesn't cover with your bench locks. Now, bench locks was an Empty the Bench thing. We're going to bring that with us this year as well. So that's how we do it. But you know how we do this. If you remember how we did this last year, guys, you ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it.
First picks of the year. Let's go.
Absolutely. Week 1, I feel like, is always the toughest week to pick games against the spread. But let's see if we can give you some winners. And hopefully I'm going to have a winning year this year, unlike last year. But we're all winners because we get to do this. But let me show you how we do this, guys. We get it going in game number 1 down in Atlanta. And we get it started with an NFC South matchup between the Carolina Panthers and Atlanta Falcons with a Chris Myers, Robert Smith, and Jen Hale special on the NFL on Fox. And the Atlanta Falcons, a 3.5-point home favorite. I'm going to go here first just to get it out of the way, guys. And I look at this matchup. A lot of questions about this divisional matchup. How will Bryce Young look in his NFL debut? Which offensive player stepped up for the Panthers? How about Desmond Ridder, his first full year as a starter? Who's going to get the bulk of the carries there in Atlanta's backfield? What about Kyle Pitts? How does he play in this offense? Did the Falcons do enough this offseason to improve the pass rush? But in this matchup, I'm taking what looks like the better team on paper to me, and that is the Carolina Panthers. So, you know what? First game we pick, first upset special. Give me Carolina plus the 3.5 to win this game outright against the Falcons in game number 1.
A week from Wednesday.
Johnny, starting off with the bang. I love it. And guess what? Are we going to make it an early daily double? I think we are, because guess what? Guess what? I also have the Panthers taking the upset.
Awesome. All right. There we go.
Let's keep that rolling, and I'm going to go with the Panthers, too, taking the upset. I'm high on Bryce Young. I think that they're going to do very well in the division this year. Their team looks a lot better than they did last year. The Falcons, I'm still not sold on yet, even though a lot of people are sold on them. But give me the Panthers in this one too.
I mean, I guess I'll add to that list too. I'm taking an upset also. Panthers over the Falcons. I like Bryce Young. Bryce Young is my rookie of the year. I don't know what to make of the Falcons. I'm a little questioning. I still think the Falcons are going to be a lead and win the division, but I think opening week the Panthers are going to come out and really put some fuel to the fire. Panthers upset.
By the way, you said Bryce Young. Don't you mean that guy named Bruce Young that I made up?
It's his evil twin.
All right. So I'll have to say I'm going the other way. I really like the Falcons. I don't trust the Panthers. I don't love Bryce Young yet. I have a feeling his first ever game on the road, I think he's going to struggle a lot. And I don't really love either team, but it's only a 3.5-point spread. Even if the Falcons don't play well, they could still pretty easily cover the spread.
Okay. Ben?
Yeah.
I wanted to go with you guys and go with the upset and pick the Panthers. I think on paper they're the better team, but I'm going to go with the Falcons here in this matchup. And I think Bijan Robinson has a massive game in this one. I think he's going to be really somebody that will help the Falcons a lot in the running game. I know that they had Cordell Patterson, but I think Desmond Ridder kind of needs somebody to help out in the running game specifically. And I think that Robinson is going to be somebody that will shine out. I do like the Panthers, and I do have them making the playoffs this year, but I have the Falcons covering at the 3.5.
There we go. And yeah, Bijan Robinson's the guy that I like a lot. Actually, he was my Rookie of the Year choice from our NFL preview show. So a battle of possible NFL Rookies of the Year in this matchup. And Tom Albano is also taking the Falcons minus the 3.5. And that's what it'll be in game number 1. Hank, it's a Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, Aditi Kinkabella special on the NFL on CBS as we get to see for the first time CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans taking on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens are a 9.5-point home favorite.
You know, you guys know my thoughts on Lamar Jackson. For those who are not familiar, I have been one of the biggest stirrers of the Lamar Jackson haterade, and lately I've been stirring that with some sugar, have I not? But having said that, do I think they're going to lose to the Texans? No. And if they're at home against a team that's still pretty much rebuilding, as much as that 9.5 looks very tempting, I don't think I can take the bait. Give me the Ravens, and I don't know how many times nevermore I can say that this year. See what I did there?
Yeah, for sure. Give me Ravens 9.5 as well. I don't see the Texans being able to pull this off. And even if they do lose, I don't even think that's going to be less than 9 points. Odell's going to be questionable for this game. New news came out today that he was on the injury list. So that'll make things a little bit interesting. But Ravens are going to be a borderline playoff team. I think the Texans are still far away from being truly competitive, and CJ Stroud too is going to be a little bit of a project in his rookie year. So I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I could see this. Even if the Ravens play bad, they should still at least be able to win by 2 scores. I mean, this is going to be C.J. Stroud's first. It's going to be his first game ever on the road against one of the better teams. I mean, I find it really hard to believe that the Ravens don't win by at least 2 scores.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty simple game. I mean, the Texans should put a giant question mark on the top of their head because we don't really know what to expect from them this coming year. I mean, what do we expect from CJ Stroud? I don't know. Now, I'm like Hank. I am one of the bigger haters of Lamar out there. I don't know if it's bigger than LeBron James, but it's definitely as big a haterade up on my rankings of athletes. But if you can't beat the Texans by 2 scores, then that's going to be your embarrassment of the year. Ravens cover.
I got the Ravens in this one too. I think Zay Flowers is a massive get. The draft pick that the Ravens got. They obviously have Odell. Paul, I know that you said he's questionable, so obviously that's definitely massive news. But the Texans, you just don't know really what you have yet. And CJ Stroud, I think is going to be potentially something. I really like the Texans hiring D'Amico Ryans, but I think it's going to take them a while. Give me the Ravens to hammer the over in the 9.5.
Yeah, Ben, you nailed it there. I mean, could there be a bigger challenge for D'Amico Ryans in his head coaching debut there in Houston? And I think this is the best receiving core that Lamar Jackson has to date in Baltimore. I think this is the Lamar Jackson middle finger revenge tour this year. This is not a good matchup for Houston. Not only is it just C.J. Stroud, but a bunch of players making their debuts with the team. The Texans are going to be an improved team this year, but not Sunday. Give me Baltimore minus the 9.5. And Tom also is taking 9.5. So it's a clean sweep taking the money for the Baltimore Ravens against the Houston Texans. Nick Morgasen, it's an Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn special on CBS, the Battle of Ohio with the Cincinnati Bengals. And it looks like Joe Burrow will be there taking on your boy, the Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns, and the Bengals, a 2.5-point road favorite.
All right. Ha, ha, ha. Yes, I got blocked by Deshaun Watson on Twitter. Yes, I know. But yes, I live rent-free in Deshaun Watson's head. Okay, whatever. But you know what? And everyone was more shocked at what I said, that I thought the Bengals were the most overrated team in the NFL during the NFL preview show. And I think that they're not going to win the division either. And people were very shocked by that. But The Browns are such a terrible team in every way, shape, or form. Deshaun Watson is coming off a year of being suspended at 11 games. I mean, like this is not even this 2.5 is too small. I would hammer this times 2 even. I would take the money on the Bengals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, Nick, I didn't mean to cut you off. In honor, since Tom's not here, I'm going to say it. DDTB. Don't disrespect the Bengals. Enough said. Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, I think these points are too easy. I get that they were the road team, but I mean, 2.5 that against the Browns, that's nothing.
I mean, it's the most obvious spread on the board.
Yeah. Possibly up there.
Give me the Bengals. Chase, Higgins, Boyd. They could all be out, and they're still going to pull this off.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bengals. Give me the points. I mean, 2.5 seems really small, I guess you could say. I'm not really a big believer in the Browns defense. Like you said, Paul, the Chase, Higgins, their receivers are elite. And don't forget, they got Irv Smith Jr., who I really like at tight end, who maybe could help in the red zone. So, yeah, give me the points of the Bengals. Not a big believer in the Browns.
But you know what's crazy is that earlier this week, it was 1.5.
I'm sorry. What?
It was 1.5.
Only reason could be divisional game, I guess they're thinking, and it's in Cleveland.
But what are the Browns, though? The Browns are a joke.
I know. I mean, we haven't seen Deshaun Watson in 2 years, pretty much. Maybe they're banking on him like having a breakout game or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, him and his fully guaranteed $300 million contract. Totally going to work on this one.
Sounds like
Nick,
something.
You know what I have to say about Deshaun Watson? Deal with the devil.
You're right. I can't deny it.
This is my first use of my new catchphrase that I've imported from Hitting for the Cycle onto this show. So had to get that in there.
Absolutely. By the way,
it's usually what I use about a certain baseball team from Orange County, California that thinks they're from L.A. but are actually from, careful, Artie Marino, Anaheim.
Dude, to us, that's all L.A.
That's a good point.
Southern California is L.A.
It is.
Those
It's
are
LA.
Best Buy boundaries.
So Tom is also not a surprise. Don't disrespect the Bengals. He is taking Cincinnati minus the 2.5. So, boy, it's hard to know what to expect from Deshaun Watson because he's yet to prove that he could make it work in Kevin Stefanski's offense. But it's hard to know what to expect from Joe Burrow, who once again had an inexistent training camp. And also, what about Cincy's offensive line? That has always been a concern. And guys, historically, Joe Burrow struggles against the Cleveland Browns. I think that's part of the reason that the line's been as low as it is. So I don't know why I'm struggling. You know what? I'm going to be the lone wolf. I'm going upset special number 2 here. Give me Cleveland plus the 2.5. I think they win this game outright. I just don't know. Burrow's going to be rusty. I'm concerned with that. This is the second straight year he's been like this. Last year, looked at his first game last year against Pittsburgh. He looked off. I know they almost won that game, but he looked off. And I think that this possible the defense for the Browns, they still got Chubb. They still got Garrett, I should say, on defense. I think that's going to pose a problem here. I'm going Cleveland plus the 2.5. I'm going to be the lone wolf in this game.
By the way, Burrow has impeccable timing, not signing a contract before getting hurt. I just want to throw that out there. And now, if I'm the Bengals, I don't give him the contract. I know people are going to throw things at me, but I don't sign him. One, he was not healthy last year. Now he's not healthy again. I know he's going to be back on the field, but is he going to be compensating or is he going to be at 100%?
That's why I'm concerned. That's why I can't take
Part
Cleveland.
of me tells me this feels like a trap game a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Can there be a trap game in week 1?
Nick,
I was tempted.
Look, I still think the line is very low, but part of me still thinks that Burrow is not going to play as well as 99% of people think he is. I think there probably is at least some reason for this line. Because
they know more than us, though, too.
They have to be accurate with it on some level.
You also have to.
That's how Morgan's in that.
You also have to keep in mind the injury that he had at training camp, how much he's been able to kind of recover and the timetable on that. I know that obviously he's been back in practice, but how can he pretty much move outside the pocket after that? Because I know,
Well,
obviously,
the
when
thing
that
is-
happened, it looked serious, but thankfully he's okay.
The thing is, he is the type of quarterback who can kind of play through an injury if it's mild enough. He can still play a good game. Don't forget, he was injured in the Super Bowl. And we didn't find out till after. So it might not be that as big of a deal as we think it is, but it will certainly affect him at least somewhat.
What about the Halloween game? He looked like a wreck out there. He couldn't move.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the thing is, he's not like Lamar Jackson. He can kind of withstand some type of injury a little bit. So it might not affect him too much.
Okay.
A couple things with that real quick. Just remember that game last year against the Browns. That game was in Cleveland. That was that Halloween game where they got blown out. Again, Burrow does not do well against Cleveland. And, the offensive line, how good is the offensive line going to be this year? They have not been able to shore up that line for him in the last 3 years or so.
They were Swiss cheese, that line, the last couple of years.
Oh
Still,
gosh.
and Nick DiMartino made a great point too. This is kind of a big game for Cincinnati because next week they play Baltimore.
That's going to be the test.
Nick, you say it's Swiss cheese. I prefer to call it New York City subway turnstile.
Oh man! So I am going to be the lone wolf, and so Tom, I know he's not here with us today, but DDTB, I do disrespect the Bengals in this spot. So give me Cleveland plus the 2.5, but I'm going to be the lone wolf in Cleveland. Paul, it's a Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, Shannon Spake special on Fox as Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars take on Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts, and Shane Stetson, you can say as well, and the Indianapolis Colts. And the Jaguars are laying 5 points on the road.
Yeah, give me the Jaguars in this game. I know I'm going with majority of the top picks, but the Colts just don't do it for me this season. I really don't think so. I mean, Anthony Richardson has the potential to be a very good player, but their overall team, their defense isn't great. I mean, they're bringing back Shaq Leonard and Kwity Paye, who are two of their better pieces, but around them isn't the greatest core. And their offensive line is questionable. Their receiving core is questionable. If you want to call Pittman a lead or whatever, I don't know if I necessarily say that. But besides that, the Colts aren't great. I have high hopes for the Jaguars this year. I think that they should be kings of the South. They've got a good dynamic team. Their offense has the potential, with Calvin Ridley now coming back from the suspension. I think their offense has potential to be really deadly. I think that Jaguars should have no issue in this one.
I mean, you're also forgetting no JT in their lineup. I mean, you're forgetting no Jonathan Taylor.
See, he's been out for so long that you almost forget that he's still on the Colts.
I mean, that should be the game decider right there because he's really the offense for that team. And don't get me wrong. I think Anthony Richardson will eventually be a good quarterback, but it's going to take at least 3 years for him to really get into development and be a good quarterback. And you really have no other options. The offense stinks. They don't really have anything to follow up. If they had JT, they'd be stacking 10 in the box each time while they're playing because that's all the offense they have. This was one of the two I was looking at for locks. It was this one and another game. I'm going to save it. Not going to do it here. But this is a very, very, very easy cover.
I'm not going to say that this is a lock because you never know what can happen in Jaguars-Colts games. But with that being said, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The Colts are a dumpster fire, and it's going to take a while for any regime to really clean up the mess that Irsay made. And I don't know what it's going to take for him to get the Dan Snyder treatment, but in any event, you know how I am about the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is him. Give me Jacksonville.
There it is. Another thing we had 8 months in the making for. Yeah, guys, I mean, Nick made a good point. This could have been a lock of the week. I mean, the only reason why I don't put this game as a lock is because sometimes the Colts seem to always play Jaguars tougher at home. But if you think about this, though, Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson against a secondary with serious question marks and alarming youth at cornerback, and a number one receiver and possible comeback player of the year in Calvin Ridley. To me, the Jaguars win and cover against Indy in this spot.
I would have to say, as much as I hate this game, I really hate it, I still like the Jaguars to cover because it's okay, the Colts don't have Jonathan Taylor and it's Anthony Richardson's first game. And it's I think Anthony Richardson might be able to be a good quarterback in the future, but I've seen him play in college. he did struggle a lot. And I feel like in the NFL, it's only going to be by an order of magnitude much worse than that. Like, look, I think the Jaguars can be very sloppy, and I think they might play a very bad game, but the Colts, I just don't think they're good. Like, certainly not without Jonathan Taylor, not with like a rookie quarterback. Like, it just would be so silly for me to have any faith in them. Just thinking this through. And
that's a good point.
You know, the Jaguars could be pretty good. Like even if the Jaguars make a lot of bad mental mistakes, like they do a lot, they should still be able to cover the spread. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, in this
like
game
if the Colts can't score, they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Ben.
Sorry, cut you off, Dick. Yeah, I mean, this game, I could look at it this way. It's an AFC South showdown. The Jags and the Colts obviously have close games all the time. I was tempted to obviously have the Colts take the points, but even this, I mean, the Jaguars obviously are going to cover. I mean, it's just, you look at it, the Colts don't have Jonathan Taylor. He's their main guy. I think he's going to go to Miami, by the way, at mid part of the season. That's another story for another day. But, you know, Shane Steichen's a young coach. I think that he's going to obviously help Anthony Richardson with a young quarterback, obviously, this season. But Anthony Richardson in college had a lot of turnover problems. He has a lot of turnovers, obviously, in something a game like this. You're not going to win this game because Trevor Lawrence and that offense obviously will make you pay. And I think Travis Etienne will have a big game this one.
There we go. And Tom's also taking the Jaguars -5. So that is a clean sweep in Indianapolis. All right, Ben, we ended with you there. Let's start with you here. And it is, in fact, an Andrew Catalan, Tiki Barber, Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, and AJ Ross special on the NFL on CBS. And speaking of great QBs, it is Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings, with the Vikings laying 5.5.
Yeah, this is actually going to be my lock of the week. I'm not a big believer in the Bucs at all this year. I personally think that Todd Bowles should have been fired last year. He's a defensive-minded type coach. Baker Mayfield's obviously a project quarterback, I guess you could say, at this point in time. You know, they have the situation with Mike Evans and his contract. There's just kind of a lot going on there. And I think that Kevin O'Connell did a really good job last year offensively with Kirk Cousins. I think Justin Jefferson obviously is the best receiver in the game. He has a massive one in this one. Give me the 5.5 cover. And, yeah, give me the lock of the week.
Ben and I are sharing a brain on this one, and this is a big gamble doing this, but I am locking on the Minnesota Vikings to win this game.
Wow.
And I'm scared. My teeth are chattering as I say I'm going to lock the Minnesota Vikings to win a game. But, yeah, I mean, first of all, Baker Mayfield, I mean, to be honest with you, and I said this, I think the Bucs are one of the worst teams are going to be one of the worst teams in football this year, and they're going to go through the most starting quarterbacks because once Baker Mayfield turns the ball over 10 times or he gets injured, then you're going to go to John Wolford or Kyle Trask. Poor Todd Bowles. I almost feel bad for Todd Bowles down there in Tampa. It's going to be a rough year there, and again, it's Baker Mayfield or against Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. I mean, it's almost not a fair fight. The Vikings will start the year in the green. Give me Minnesota minus the 5.5. And yes, this will be my lock of the week.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it perfectly. I'm going to step in with just a few words. Justin Jefferson, need him to go off. Got in one of my fantasy leagues. This is my lock of the week as well too. So I'm taking the Vikings on this one.
Wow, this is crazy.
Right, I'd have to say I totally agree. I have no faith in the Bucs. I don't know. It's just like I don't really believe in Baker Mayfield much at all. Similar to how I feel about the Colts, like I just don't think they have it. And you have to keep in mind the Vikings. They tend to be like last year. They tended to be pretty good like early in the season. They're one of those like really good pre-Halloween teams. So a game like this, I can see before. Like I think they'll get exposed later, like they did last year. But like this early in the season, they should be able to win. They should be able to win this by a lot. I can see it being a blowout, like a 24-7 type game.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to admit, Justin Jefferson would be much better if he played in warmer weather.
I agree with you on that standpoint. I mean, this game's going to be a blowout. I mean, there's so much. There's so much
news, guys. Breaking news in terms of Joe Burrow. He just got a record deal with the Cincinnati Bengals contract.
What's the deal?
So, according to Adam Schefter, 24 seconds ago, Joe Burrow has reached agreement with the Bengals on a 5-year, $275 million extension
What?
that includes $219.1 million
It's
guaranteed.
like they were watching the show.
It makes him the highest paid player in
They put the ball
NFL
to the
history.
edge.
What?
What?
Just broke now.
Yeah, it just did.
Are you freaking kidding me? This guy's not worth $275 million.
You must have heard what I said, taking the Browns there.
How many years?
5 years.
5 years.
75.
Yeah.
What is that? 50 or 55? Holy shit.
219 million plus guaranteed.
Nothing like a Joe Burrow extension fireworks right at the start of the season.
Wait. How much guaranteed?
Yeah, so
219.
it was
That's almost the whole
219.
thing.
That's almost the whole thing, right?
219
He's
out
a
of the
baseball player.
275 is guaranteed.
That's
They
right. Like Nick just said, it's a baseball contract.
It's basically a baseball contract.
They definitely listen to us. That's so funny.
No,
Sorry,
I'm
but-
not surprised they did this at all.
Yeah, I'm not. But all right,
Even
to
if you
get
think
back.
it's not worth it, it's totally something teams would do.
Oh my god, I don't know. All right, let me get out of that mindset and do the game here. There's a couple of things I would say for the Buccaneers. Let's see. I'm going to break these out early. I'll say this is what I think of the Buccaneers. Because they are a giant circus at the quarterback position. Baker Mayfield is a joke. I've not liked him since he's come out of college. And I think you're going to see. I think that was Johnny's hot take, pretty much, that they're going to have the most quarterbacks started in the NFL this year, right?
Because once Baker either turns the ball over 10 times or he gets injured or he has the worst completion percentage in football or his attitude gets the best of him, then you go to John Wolford, who's just, it's a hard watch. And then, or you go to Kyle Trask, who has not thrown a single snap in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
we are going to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Caleb Williams or Drake May or Riley Leonard there with in the 2024 NFL draft.
right. But again, this is not my lock. I have another game I'm looking at, but this is an easy call.
Listen, I think the Vikings are absolute frauds, and hey, don't sleep on Baker Mayfield. I love the guy. I always have been. I've always been listening to him. He's a fantastic quarterback. You guys are under.
Honestly, I also have a bit of a soft spot for Baker Mayfield because him in college brings me back to my college days. And I really remember that dick grab he did on the sidelines.
Yes.
And just was cheap-shotting him. So I don't know. I do have a soft spot for him. I just know he can't play football.
Nick,
No.
let me just say this. Did you
What?
actually think I was serious just now? Hell no. Give me the Vikings.
Well,
You'll
I'm
learn
just
about that,
saying,
Nick. Got to
I
consider the
do.
source
I mean,
sometimes on that.
Just
Are you taking the lock too, Hank?
sentimental feeling.
No, I'm not taking a lock though.
Oh, okay.
I think 5.5 is pretty big, but at the same time, I'm not sold on the Buccaneers, but again,
That's
the
fair.
Vikings are the much better team talent wise.
Yeah.
It's not even close. And Nick, to go even further, I would say Kirk Cousins is really a quarterback that he turns into a pumpkin by Halloween.
I
But the thing
agree.
is, it's pre-Halloween.
Well, let's Nick, Paul, and Ben. I forgot to do one other thing with this game. We have
What?
to do the Kirk Cousins checklist.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So let's see. Is this game in prime time? No. Is this a nationally televised game? No. Good. You go with Kirk Cousins.
There you go.
Ah,
Very
He only
true.
won on Thanksgiving night last year. He lost in the playoffs, which was technically a primetime game. So, and this is, he's a free agent after this year too.
You also
So
have to remember, it's a 1 p.m. game.
that's right. Early window game,
Yeah,
not
1 p.m.
nationally
game.
televised. You go with Kirk Cousins. So
I mean,
there you go. So,
I think you'll win this game on Justin Jefferson alone, to be quite honest.
and I tell you,
and are you going to
very
be doing the
gutsy.
grid? Are you going to be doing the gritty to celebrate?
Maybe. You never know.
There you
Break that
go.
out on TikTok.
And Tom's also taking the Vikings minus the 5.5. So we're all taking the Vikings to win and cover. And 3 of us are using our bench lock on the Minnesota Vikings against the Buccaneers. All right, Nick DiMartino, I'm going to go to you. It's a Chris Lewis, Jason McCourty, Ross Tucker, Amanda Guerra special on CBS as the Tennessee Titans take on Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints, with the Saints a field goal favorite at home in the Superdome.
I actually really hate how much I love the Saints this game. I really think that I kind of think that Derek Carr got a raw deal, and I think it's one of these situations where when you get a fresh start, I think it can do wonders for you. I get that the Titans are a good team, but at home, something tells me, my gut is telling me that Derek Carr is going to have a really big game.
You know what? I'm not too surprised by that. I mean, I think it's a much better home for Derek Carr than the Raiders will ever be.
Well, anything would be. I mean,
Yeah.
Alcatraz would be a better home for Derek Carr than
There it is. First up. But I mean, this one again. There's what's the offense? It's Derrick Henry for the Titans. That's it. I mean,
but like that's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I think, like you said before about a few other games, this line's kind of small for this game only for the Saints. I think that this line is small. I think that Derek Carr is going to want to come out and make an impression in game one. I think he'll throw for close to 300 yards. I think it's only going to be game one because then you never know with the Saints. Obviously, you have issues with the running back. Why am I forgetting his name at the moment?
Andre Miller.
Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara. He was suspended for the first 4 games. Or 3 games. So that could be a factor. But like I said, Derrick Henry is the only factor on Tennessee, and they're kind of a little bit of a mess. So I'm taking the money on the Saints.
I'm going with the Saints. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
I'm going to go with the Titans on this one.
Ooh,
I think,
okay.
yeah, I'm not too sold on the Saints. I'm not a big Derek Carr guy as it is. And the Titans too. I don't think that they're going to be a wild card team. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but they're going to be one of those teams that kind of sticks around, puts together a few wins, still have a decent defense. Tannehill, you never know what you have with him. You know, he's kind of just. He'll go through periods where he's a very serviceable quarterback, and then he'll look terrible. But DeAndre Hopkins is a big addition. He's not the same DeAndre Hopkins, but I think that's going to be an interesting one. And Derrick Henry too. So I'm going to go with the Titans on this one, and I'm going to say that they beat the Saints.
Nice. Yep, that's special. I like that. You know, the easy reason to take the Titans would be Derrick Henry, but I'll give you a fun fact here. Here are his rushing numbers from the last 7 season openers. 109 carries for 394 yards and 1 touchdown. That's less than 4 yards per carry. And the other thing, too, is there's a lot of pressure on Ryan Tannehill this year because you've got Malik Willis and you've got Will Mayo-Levis behind him.
Ugh.
See what I did there? I think Derek Carr is going to have an impressive debut there in New Orleans, and the Superdome is going to be too much for the Titans. So I'm taking the Saints minus the 3 in this one.
You had to make the Mayo joke.
Of course. And wait till he actually starts the game.
True, or do you think he just said that?
No,
he actually did it.
True.
That's right. He actually did it. Yeah.
When he was in Kentucky, that was a big story that came out towards the end. Now, that's not why his draft value. That's not why his stock dropped in the draft. But
wait, you mean because he's a pile of shit quarterback?
No, he's not. He's one of the top 4 or 5 in the draft last year. The Houston Texans were the reason why he fell to the second round.
The Mayo thing just grossed me out to every level.
Yeah. Sorry. I promise you, I'm not bringing it up again unless he starts a game this year.
Ugh. Okay.
And hey, with Ryan Tannehill, who knows? It's 50-50.
It's a mystery box.
Yeah, it is a mystery box.
I mean,
Sorry, Hank.
Could even be a boat. Yeah, no. The Saints are not the Saints. Actually, to be honest with you, both teams are mid, if I'm being honest with you. The Titans, yeah, they may have improved at the receiving core, but I don't like their quarterback situation. Maybe Mayonnaise Boy has a chance to be the starting quarterback, but I just don't see it. As far as the Saints go, I think they'll have just enough car insurance for this week. Give me New Orleans.
I'm going to go with the Saints. But, I'm actually going to take the points of the Titans. I think because the coaching is massive, and I like Mike Vrabel over Dennis Allen. So I think I'm going to have the Titans to obviously take the points, but the Saints to win the game.
Wow. Interesting.
Oh, I like that, actually.
I like it. So everybody's picked here, and Tom has – Nick, you picked, right?
Yeah.
Also, Ben, I'm not surprised you would go with the former Patriots legends.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I like him. I think he's definitely a good coach, and he's probably going to be the only reason, like Paul said, that they're going to probably Hunter Ryan's because they have a good coach.
I agree.
There you go. Yeah, and Tom also has the Saints winning and covering in this game. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, this is the game that I struggled with the most picking against the spread. It's a Joe Davis, Daryl Moose Johnston, and Pam Oliver special on Fox as Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers take that West Coast to East Coast trip to take on Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the 49ers, guys, let's go to Nick Morgasen. Nick, the 49ers are a 2-point road favorite.
This was an interesting game, and everyone kind of made faces at me when I said I actually like Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. But the Niners are a good team. Now, the quarterback situation is questionable. Now, could you see Mr. former Jet quarterback being in as the backup, Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold? Possibly.
Which I would laugh at, by the way. They could have our
Hope
backup.
he's not seen any ghosts in that game.
He might do pretty well, though, over there.
But I don't know. I think the Steelers are going to be good. I think I even took them to make the playoffs this year. But I think the Niners are just a good team. You can plug any quarterback in there. Hence what happened except Trey Lance, right. now that's Jerry's world to deal with. But I'm surprised that this line is actually as close as it is. I thought the Niners were way better than this line. So
it's because they were the road team. That's why.
But the Niners are the better team. Let's just be real. I mean, their players are better. They have much better defense. I'm going to take them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think this line is just too close to really not take the favorite. Like, I mean, basically, you're saying that if you don't take the Niners, the Steelers basically have to win outright. So even if the Niners play a pretty putrid game, they should be able to cover this. I mean, they're only giving 2, and the Niners are like the most. I mean, like you said, you can put up pretty much any quarterback in that position, and you can, and it works. It seems like.
Also, no Hook on this line either, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. So
yeah, I completely agree.
I definitely like the Niners with this.
Yeah,
I completely agree with Nick. Like, I think that's just giving 2 points is honestly not enough. It's very difficult to not go with the Niners in this situation. I think the Steelers are going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to be a very solid team. But this game, 49ers got so many weapons. I think that they could be scary.
I mean, keep in mind, they almost made the Super Bowl last year. Yeah. Maybe they would have if they actually had a quarterback.
Yeah, sure.
Or if they keep him healthy on the field.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, you're our betting expert in this one, and I'm kind of wondering also, and I was looking at the history of the line. It was hovering between 2 and 2.5 all week. Now, I wonder if part of that was also because of the Bosa news before he signed his massive extension, because there's a possibility he may not have been playing in this game, which would have made things a little bit interesting. But
maybe,
when I look at this matchup, I mean, this kind of has the makings of a Steelers upset because you've got questions about Brock Purdy's health. This is his second year in the league. Teams are going to figure him out a little bit more. You've got the West Coast team playing East in the early window. But, I mean, Nick and Paul both said it. Because the line is so low and the 49ers are still explosive on both sides of the ball, and I'm only laying 2 points, I'm taking San Francisco to win this game by a field goal.
I mean, you're not taking them to win by at least a field goal. That's kind of embarrassing if the Niners can't win by a field goal. I mean,
I still want to discount the Steelers, though, in this spot because I still like TJ Watt, who's my defensive player of the year.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I was just saying because I still like TJ Watt as the defensive player of the year. When he was there, when he played last year, the Steelers were a much different team. Kenny Pickett, as long as he wasn't in concussion protocol, was actually playing better the second half of the year. And that's why I think the Steelers still have Nick, I said on the preview show that the Steelers could be a playoff team, but it's such a low enough line that that's why I got to take San Fran.
I don't think the Steelers are that bad. I just don't think they're as good as the Niners. And the Niners should at least be one of the 5 best teams in the NFL. So
I agree.
The only thing I have to believe is that the Niners are better.
Yeah, I also think this is going to be one of the lowest.
Even if the Steelers are better than expected.
That's a good point. I mean, it's a pick-em game, 3 or less pick-em game. So
it's not like the Niners are giving 7 points.
Right.
Now,
go ahead, Hank.
I'm going to be the lone wolf. I actually am going to go with the upset. I'm going to take the Steelers in this one.
Wow.
I like it.
So the reason I'm going to do this is for a few reasons. Number one, if you look at the track records of West Coast teams traveling to the East Coast, those are the type of games where upsets happen. And don't get me wrong, the 49ers are a super stacked team, but even with all the talent, they still have a number of question marks. And in fact, I would have been more confident in this game had Nick Bosa not signed his contract. But even then, the Steelers tend to do really well in front of their home fans in the week 1 games. So I am going to go with the upset special here, and I am going to be the lone wolf. And I actually happen to think that Kenny Pickett is him. So there you go.
Oh, wow. He's joined that list. I like it, Hank. All right, Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, so I agree with Nick. The line is really minimal that, like, it would be so hard for the Steelers to even win outright. I just don't see a certain scenario that's going to happen. The offensive line from the Niners might be their biggest weakness, possibly. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but they obviously have a couple question marks. But their weapons are really good. I mean, McCaffrey, Samuel, Kittle might be out possibly, but even then, their running game's really good. So, yeah, give me this 49ers, take the points.
Yeah. So Hank is going to be the lone wolf because Tom is also taking the 49ers minus the 2. And Tom's going bold here, in my opinion. He is putting this as his bench lock for the week, taking the 49ers minus the 2. And that is such a bold play. If I was a betting guy, I think the better bet in this game would be taking the under more than taking a spread. But that's what we'll do. So Hank's going to be the lone wolf at Aqua Shore Stadium. Nick Morgasen, it's an Adam Amin, Mark Schler with Christina Pink special on Fox. It's the Arizona Cardinals, Josh Dobb and the Arizona Cardinals taking on Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders, with the Commanders a touchdown favorite at FedEx Field.
I mean, oh my God. I mean, can I just flush this game down the toilet? Like how bad this game actually is? I mean, what do you want me to... I mean, the whole situation with the Cardinals is just bad. That whole quarterback situation is a mess. The Commanders team is a mess. Eric Bieniemy's making an embarrassment out of the Commanders right now because because his players are complaining, oh, you treat me too tough while we're practicing on the field. So, I don't know. I'm kind of like a standstill. I mean, if I had to pick a game, I'll pull the Hank method. I'll pull a coin out of my pocket in the air because that's essentially what it is at this point. So it's a home game for the Commanders. Since I'm 50-50, I'm just going to land on the Commanders and say take the money.
Let me make this
Now,
I'm going to make this very, very quick, Hank. I mean, first of all, when was the last time the Commanders were a 7-point favorite against anybody?
A long time.
Well, in this game, it's appropriate because they're going up against the worst team in the NFL. Washington wins 24-12 against the Cardinals on Sunday.
Wow.
That's it.
To answer that question, probably not since Joe Theismann was on the team. But or probably not since their offensive line was known as the Hogs. But or better yet, probably not since they played their home games at RFK Stadium. In any event, yeah, normally I would flip a coin for this game, but regardless of who the Cardinals start at quarterback, they're picking the mystery box. Give me the commies, or as I like to call them, used to call them a lot, the foreskins.
Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Commanders. I'm actually shocked the line is this close. I think they should potentially double that -7 to -14. The Commanders are going to win by double scores. I mean, the Cardinals really have no one. I mean, no offense to them. I mean, Budda Baker requested out this offseason. Obviously, he didn't get his trade request, but guys are trying to leave their team left and right. And they didn't really know specifically their quarterback situation, obviously, with Kyler out. So, yeah, give me the points. Commanders.
Yeah, Cardinals may win 2 or 3 games this year, and this is not going to be one of them. So, Commanders by a couple of scores.
All right, Nick.
All right, I hate it. I'm probably going to have to go with the Commanders just because of how bad the Cardinals are, although this spread is pretty big, but there's got to be a pretty good reason for this. I feel like no matter what the Cardinals do, like Hank said, it's checking this mystery box. Like, it's just going to be really bad. And which is crazy because just 2 years ago, the Cardinals were undefeated for the longest time.
Yeah.
It's like the difference is night and day.
Yeah.
got a new coach there in Arizona too, and I think this line is more about Arizona than it is about Washington.
Right. I mean, look, I am not going to watch probably not 1 second of this game.
Yeah,
I agree.
There's 7 other games in
who
your
will?
window you
I
can
have
watch.
to pick. I got to go with the Commanders.
But is
Yeah.
Kyler Murray really a consolation prize, to be quite honest? I think they overpay him, and now they're paying the price.
The guy plays video
Nick.
games when he's not playing on the field. So
Nick, can you say deal with the devil? I knew you could.
Yeah, you could. By the way, can we get that homework clause back? I think that was pretty hilarious, too.
There we go. Clean sweep, by the way, because Tom's also taking the Commanders -7 at FedEx Field. It's a Paul. It's a Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi special on Fox as the Jordan Love starting era begins with the Green Bay Packers taking on Justin Fields and the Bears, and the Bears a 1-point favorite at Soldier Field.
This is a tough one. This is a really tough one because I think this can go. It's like a 50-50. This can go either way. I'm going to have to go with the Bears, I think, just because by a few points. Because I do not trust the Packers at all this year. I think that the whole Love situation is going to take some time to get used to, and I don't think that they're nearly as deep as they usually are as well. And the Bears have a few pieces. Justin Fields has been able to put up some promising numbers last season, so I'm going to have to go with the Bears. But this is definitely the one that I'm the least confident on.
I mean,
Guys,
oh, go ahead.
Nick, guess what? You know what you do in this game? You pick the team with the better quarterback. Give me Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears to win against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers.
I mean, this is basically win or loss because the line is so close. So you either have to decide, am I picking the Packers to win or am I picking the Bears to win? Jordan Love is going to go through a lot of growing pains. This is not Aaron Rodgers anymore, everybody in Green Bay Nation. I think those cheeseheads. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't own you anymore. So I think there's going to be a lot of rotten cheeseheads in Green Bay this year. I think there's going to be a lot of losses and fan base that's going to riot at some point to say that Jordan Love is not the same quarterback. The 1-point line is kind of an embarrassment. I don't know why it's not bigger. Bears win.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally with you on this. I think the line was bigger at one point. Even if you were to say that these teams are equal, which even that feels a little crazy. I mean, I think you have to remember the Packers are a much bigger dumpster fire than they get credit for. I mean,
yes.
Outside of Rodgers, they were probably the worst team in the NFL last year.
Yes, absolutely.
And now they have Jordan Love. And Justin Fields is, even if you don't really believe in him, he's still only going to be getting better. So the Bears are probably going to be better than they were last year. And they're playing at home. So what this line is telling us is that the Packers are better than the Bears. That's what this line is telling us, considering they're playing in Chicago, which feels bananas to me. So I should be able to take the Bears. This line seems so bizarre.
I feel like, and I saw this on a lot of the books, I think they want people to bet the upsets, and I saw that a lot this week on the lines. They made them so close. So I think this is just the line. Setting them so low that they're enticing people to bet the upsets. That's at least what it looks like to me.
Yeah, so in my pick'em, it was 2.5 and went down.
Dang. Wow, it dropped 1.5 since wow.
And by the way, I still took the Bears -2.5.
I would too. You're telling me they can't win at home by at least a field goal? Come on.
No, I mean, anything, I would only start to get a little suspicious once it gets to like 3.5, 4 points. I'd be like, maybe. But even then, I still wouldn't be confident taking the Packers.
Jordan Love can't throw the deep ball. We saw it.
And like I said, he's playing on the road. Like, it's going to be a really tough game. And you know what? I think that Rodgers was like this Band-Aid that sort of kept them afloat a little bit. And now that he's gone, we could be watching like the Browns were like 9 years ago. Like, we don't know.
Hey, Hank. Hello, Kitty Bandit.
No, Aaron Rodgers was like the ace bandage. Jordan Love now is the Hello Kitty bandage.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Jordan Love is the Hello Kitty Bandit.
Yes, that's exactly what he is. Nick, you mentioned all those rotten cheeseheads. I think those cheeseheads are probably going to smell like Limburger by the end of the year. Nonetheless, this is a game that I'm gonna technically flip a card on. Actually, not a coin. I just have a baseball card in front of me. See this Ryan Sandberg? See this fake Ryan Sandberg 1987 card? I'm gonna flip it.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Bears.
Up there.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, you definitely take the better quarterback, and I guess the better. I don't really. No, both coaches are mid. I'm taking the better quarterback. Just give me the Bears.
All right,
the Bears.
Yeah. This obviously this matchup without Rodgers now kind of in the fold is very even. Quarterback specifically, you have Jordan Love and Justin Fields, two really young quarterbacks. You got two pretty young coaches in Matt Eberflus and Matt LaFleur. But I'm going to go the Bears. It's going to be close though. I was even tempted to potentially pick Packers upset, but I'm going to go Bears here.
Yeah, Tom's also taking the Bears, so that's a clean sweep in Chicago. Also, one thing to watch for. We don't, as of this recording, injuries to Christian Watson for the Packers, also Romeo Doubs too, and Christian Watson really saved the Packers season, gave them a chance into week 18 last year. So we don't know who Jordan Love could be throwing the ball or running or handing the ball off to in that spot. And you know what? Justin Fields has some playmakers there in Chicago to watch as well, and we'll see what happens here in this NFC North battle. Nick, do you want to do the honors here before I roll this? Now, Tom couldn't be here today, but Tom had to leave his presence here somehow, and I guess you know what game is on deck. So
yes, he sent a special message. Let's play that.
Broncos country, let's rock. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, let's rock.
It's back.
Oh gosh.
So
yes.
What else could we be talking about, Nick DiMartino? You've never seen that before. Welcome aboard. Also, same thing with you, Ben and Paul. But Nick, it is a Tom McCarthy, James Lofton, Jay Feely, Tiffany Blackman special on the NFL on CBS, as it is the Las Vegas Raiders with Jimmy Garoppolo taking on the aforementioned Russell Wilson and Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos at Empower Field at Mile High, with the Broncos a 3.5-point favorite.
This is such a funny line. You have no idea.
Oh, I'm going to you, Nick. Okay.
No.
This is tough. I hate it, but something tells me the Raiders. Now, there's something maybe wrong with me because, first of all, neither of these teams were good last year, to be clear. But for some reason, I always think the Raiders are going to cover when they're not. Look, Denver's giving 3.5. This looks like a field goal game to me. I don't really believe in the Broncos yet. I think they'll be a little better than they were last year, but I don't know. I have to see it first. And you know what? Garoppolo is serviceable enough to keep this game close. So 3.5, make it a field goal game. I'm going to have to go with the points.
That's interesting. I mean, the issue we had with Garoppolo, where in his contract, basically he had to pass a physical just to get back on the field, whether his contract was going to be void or not during the offseason. I was never a Garoppolo guy. I know he made it all the way to the Super Bowl. I know everyone was big on him. And wasn't he the one that was dealing with the dating the porn stars or whatever also?
He's dated multiple porn stars.
So
he also hits on Aaron Andrews.
Multiple porn stars probably has incredible confidence. So I think it will translate to the football field.
I don't know.
He also hits on Aaron Andrews every now and then.
That's a good point. I think about.
Remember when he said thanks, babe, to Aaron Andrews?
Yeah, he has to be the most confident dude alive.
He has too much confidence. He's oozing in confidence.
You got to make sure that
he needs some rejection.
But you know what, Hank? This is one of those where I'm going to steal from you again. Broncos, Raiders. I don't know. This is
That's
such
a tough one, this matchup, Nick.
I mean, I don't like Garoppolo. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm taking the money with the Broncos. I can't believe I'm saying it.
Yeah, I'm going to end up doing the same. I'm going to take the Broncos. This is one that's could go back and forth, but there's nothing about the Raiders that really gives me any hope for this season. I think they're going to end up pulling out a few wins that you may not expect, but in that division, it's going to be tough.
I mean, Josh Jacobs makes them save face at best.
Yep, exactly. So I'm going to go with the Broncos.
Then Hank's breaking up the card again.
So yeah, this year I'm going to use a different card. This year's a 1991 George Brett baseball card. I'm going to just flip that one again. Actually, no, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. I wanted to pull a fast one on you guys. But what I am going to do, however, I'm going to surprise you guys a little bit. I'm actually going to throw you a curveball.
Let's hear it.
I am going to take the Broncos to win, but this is where I deviate a little bit in my my picks write-up that I do every week. For those of you who don't know, I write this up every week. Shameless little self-promotion. I used to do this on Facebook, but I've decided to move to blog form. So there you go. I am going to take the Broncos to win, but the Raiders will cover. So the Broncos will only win by a field goal.
Yeah, I like that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That is interesting. Ben, take it away.
Yeah, I got the Broncos here. I think the Broncos will actually miss the playoffs again this year, but I'm just not a big believer in the Raiders this year. I mean, Josh McDaniels might be fired by the end of this year. Their defense, I'm just not a massive believer in at all. And Chandler Jones' situation, too. That obviously flowing around is not good, too. So give me the Broncos at 3.5.
This is a game that I struggled with, too, because the better talent is with the Raiders, especially because when you look at the Broncos, they don't have Tim Patrick again. They don't have Jerry Jeudy for several weeks, but this is where that seesaw comes into effect because you go with the team with the better coach, and that would be Sean Payton and the Broncos. I mean, let's be honest, guys. The Raiders have largely overwhelmed under Josh McDaniels, and you know how much of a fan how much I'm not a fan of his.
Wait, you mean the offensive genius?
The offensive genius.
If it weren't for his Belichick, imagine he's totally. His career is just predicated on his Bill Belichick connection.
And the fact that he's beaten him twice.
That coaching tree is a joke. No one has won on it.
No,
and remember Chandler Jones,
how bad the Belichick coaching tree is.
It's
Chandler
just
Jones, who had that unbelievable finish last year, who ran that crazy play back to beat the Patriots last year, is not there. That mess that he's got to deal with. So you know what we're going to say?
What?
Broncos country, let's ride. I'm taking Denver minus the 3.5.
Wait, did someone say Broncos country, let's ride?
Sure did.
Okay,
I had
enough
to
of
say
it.
And maybe that might be the only time this year I picked the Denver Broncos. Yeah. Tom, though, is taking the Raiders in an upset special plus the 3.5 to win out. Let me just make sure he did say upset. Yeah, he's got the upset special here with the Raiders plus the 3.5 at Empower Field at Mile High. So there we go. Ben Kruse, it is a Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins special on the NFL on CBS as Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins take on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And the Chargers are a field goal favorite at SoFi Stadium.
So I got this is my upset of the week. I'm going to go Dolphins here. This is a tough one, but I'm going to go Dolphins take the points. Brandon Staley, I don't know specifically with that coach in there. I think that the Dolphins last year, you guys remember that they had a really good start to the season last year. So I'm going to go Dolphins plus 3. I think that the Chargers could cover. So, I'm going to go upset with the Dolphins, but I'm going to have the Chargers take the points.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, Tom on our preview special totally destroyed the heck out of Brandon Staley, and I agree. I think he's going to get fired 1 year too late. He totally destroyed, what was it, a 27-0 lead in the first half of that game and completely destroyed it, and then that destroyed their chances in the playoffs. I mean, Brandon Staley's not a good coach. He's a terrible coach. And also you had all the injuries. You had Herbert, who had an injury, which he was playing on the field and totally should have rested the starters. He's not a good situational coach whatsoever. And I think the Dolphins are here to play. I'm not a Tua fan. Let me put that out there first. I've never been a Tua fan. I just don't. And some people were throwing out as a comeback player of the year. One, he's got to stay on the field and not have 4 concussions in a year and actually stay on the field. But for this game, I'm going to take the Dolphins in the upset.
Yeah, I'm going with the Dolphins as well. I'm not too. The Chargers just had such a big letdown last season. Even though it's in LA, I think the Dolphins their offense is too explosive. I don't love the Chargers defense, and I think that Miami is going to actually surprise some people. I know that Hank's pretty high on Miami, but yeah, I'm going to go with them in this game.
Yeah, let me expand on that. Yeah, you're damn right. I'm actually pretty high on Miami, and unlike Nick, I do still have faith in Tua Tagovailoa. I think he's got the talent. As long as his brain doesn't turn into mashed potatoes, I think he's pretty much elite.
Wait, you mean the NFL should actually protect him, you mean?
Yes. But let me continue. I think the Chargers are basically a Fabergé egg. On the outside, they look like they're a solid team. I mean, you got a really good quarterback in Justin Herbert, but when you look at them on the inside, the coach isn't that great. They're kind of hollow. So give me the Dolphins.
It's actually a good explanation of it.
I like that.
No, I totally agree. I agree with Hank. I'm big. I really like Tua as long as he's healthy, and assuming that he can get through this game without any injuries, I like the Dolphins. I think we could make it through game one at least. I think we could at least make it through that. And the Chargers, they make too many mistakes. I feel like there's going to be some type of epic collapse from the Chargers at some point, and the Dolphins win. And when Tua was healthy, the Dolphins were very good last year. The problem was the injuries. So if they're healthy, the Dolphins really look like a superior team.
It's a good point.
So you're taking Miami?
I'm taking Miami.
Wow.
See, you guys are bringing up injuries, and that's a big reason why I'm taking the Chargers in this game, because the health of Dolphins left tackle, the health of Dolphins left tackle Teron Armstead is a big deal, and it looks like he is trending towards not playing. So if he can't go, can you imagine their backup having to go up against Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack? This is not pretty, and I'm praying for Tua in this spot. I'm taking the Chargers minus the 3. The only difference with Miami this year is, God forbid Tua suffers any clear injury, you have a very capable backup there in Mike White versus Skylar Thompson or Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, don't remind me that you have a good backup.
Well, you need in the NFL, you need a backup as much as you need a starter. So, absolutely. But
Actually,
yeah,
Johnny did expand on that.
Yeah, Hank.
You have a backup quarterback for the same reason you have a smoke detector in your house.
Tom's continuing on the upset train too, because he's also taking the Dolphins plus the 3. And I got to tell you, that injury to Teron Armstead, and as we're recording this, it is trending towards that he is not starting on Sunday. I think that is a very big deal in this matchup. Because those pass rushers for the Chargers could really give Tua some fits in this game. I really do. So, and I'm only laying a field goal. That's why I'm going to do it. So I'm taking the Chargers. It's going to be almost a split call here at SoFi Stadium in this one. Paul, it's a Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson special on the NFL and CBS as the Philadelphia Eagles take on the New England Patriots at Foxborough, and the Eagles are a 3.5-point road favorite.
Eagles. Simple as that. I know that Ben's not going to be very excited about that, but
that's what it is.
I think the Eagles are the reigning NFC champs. I'm going to show some respect to them. It is in New England. I want to see. To be honest with you, I don't know at all what I think that New England's going to be this season. I really have no idea. I think that, obviously, anytime you got Belichick, you're going to be in it. Mac Jones had a great rookie year. Was up and down last year and was hurt for a bit. But they're also in a very tough division. They're going to be a decent team, but the Eagles are just tough. And I feel like it's, especially for a 3.5-point spread too, I think it's tough to not go with them in this situation. Especially with the way that they kind of ran over everybody last year. But so I'm going to go with the Eagles on it.
The way I look at this team, they're going to be 14-3 or 15-2. That's the way I look at this team. They're such a dominant team this coming season. And by the way, this is my lock. This game is my lock. The Eagles are going to win. I think this is an obvious win. We don't know what the Patriots are going to be. Sorry, Ben, but I don't know what the Patriots are going to be. Their quarterback situation, Mac Jones, is kind of a real mystery box in himself. You don't know.
He's not wrong.
You don't know what the line is going to be. The line is not keeping him on his feet. Last year, I think he was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league, if I'm not mistaken. So there's no way. The Eagles are going to dominate this game, and this is my lock, Eagles.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, the Eagles, like I said, they look like the best team in the NFC. I think because they didn't win the Super Bowl, we forget how great they were last year.
Yep.
But I mean, the Patriots, they're supposed to be the worst team on paper, at least. They're the worst team. They're projected to be the worst team in the AFC East.
Correct.
So, I mean, the Eagles should be able to win this by a lot. I mean, at least by one score.
I mean, the Eagles are going to be a favorite in almost every game you look at them this year.
There's going to be very few games that they're not favored in. Very few.
The only one I can.
All right, outside the Chiefs, I play the Chiefs. The Chiefs will probably win. Probably cover that.
Yeah, that's the only game I was going to say. Like the game against the Chiefs, they probably will not be a favorite.
You know what? Here's what I gotta say. I also have this game as my lock of the week.
Yeah,
Nice.
that makes sense. And you're a Giant fan.
Trust me, I don't like. Trust me, I hate the Eagles more than any other team. I wanted to celebrate and run across my neighborhood in relief as soon as the Chiefs won that Super Bowl. Thank God, but I'm also nervous that could very well happen given how stacked the roster is. Give me the Eagles.
Paul will take a run back on that.
All right, Mr. Patriot, what do you got?
Yeah. Well, it's gonna pay me for me to say this, but I'm taking the Eagles money line. The Patriots schedule is brutal this year. I like the Bill O'Brien hire. The only temptation of potentially of the Patriots cover is because TB12's back in the house. They're going to play tough for him. At least I hope. But, yeah, I have 31-17 Eagles. I think that it's going to be close at halftime, but I think that the line for the Patriots right now, the offensive line really worries me against that front. And, yeah, it's going to be tough for me to painfully say, but the Eagles are just a better team on paper. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles.
Yeah, I pretty much echo everything Ben just said there. I think Bill O'Brien might wish he stayed in Tuscaloosa after this one. Give me Philadelphia minus the 3.5. Tom's also taking the Eagles, too, in this spot. So clean sweep, and we've got two bench locks in Foxborough. It's a Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, Laura Oakman special on the NFL on Fox. It's the Los Angeles Rams taking on Geno Smith and Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks, and Nick DiMartino. The Seattle Seahawks are a 5-point favorite at Lumen Stadium.
So I will have to say, I know you might call me crazy. This is my lock of the week. I like the Rams +5.
Wow.
Whoa! I'd have to go with the Rams. I don't believe in Seattle. I don't think Seattle is that good. I think last year was just a little bit of a flash in the pan, as they say. Look, as long as Stafford is starting, I have a lot of faith in the Rams to at least be able to cover this game. I don't know. I don't think Seattle's that good. And let's not forget how bad they were at the end of the season last year. Like, something tells me that's going to continue.
I mean, Geno Smith got overpaid. I'll give you that much.
He got way overpaid. He had a year, and now he had an okay year, and people were making it sound like he won the Super Bowl.
I mean, the contract, I will give you the contract was a joke of all jokes. He couldn't play in New York, but he gets a 3-year contract in Seattle, which I think was what?
He was just 50? In a really good situation.
I'm trying to look up the contract.
That's what it takes, you know? I mean, that is what it takes. Now, when you say Rams plus, you think the Rams are winning this game outright?
I'm a little uneasy about it. I wouldn't pick them to win outright necessarily. I just picked them to cover the spread.
No, that's very fair.
I think
I agree with you. I think
win outright.
What's that?
I wouldn't exactly be shocked, but I wouldn't pick them to win outright. I mean, well,
so the only thing I would say with that, I agree with what you're saying that maybe Seattle might take a step back or so this year. But the problem with this game is I think the Seahawks outclassed the Rams in nearly every position, maybe with the exception of Aaron Donald, and not having Cooper Kupp there, I think is what eliminates the Rams from covering at every point. And also, if you just want to look at history, Pete Carroll is 5-0 at home in season openers. I think he gets the 6-0 here. I'm taking Seattle minus the 5 at Lumen Stadium.
Yeah, I'll actually be honest with you. I changed my opinion after listening to Nick talk, so thank you very much. the Rams plus 5. I'm going to go with that, but I'm going to say that the Seahawks still win the game, but it may be closer than we think.
Right.
I'm not,
but I mean, the thing is, we're picking the spread, not the winner.
Exactly. Like I think the Seahawks are still going to win the game, but I think it may be a pretty close one. It's a division rivalry, and the Seahawks. I want to see Geno Smith do this for another season before I'm fully in on the Seahawks too. Like, he had a tremendous year last year, but this is year 11 or 12 of his career. He's been a backup for the majority of his career. I want to see if this continues, things keep going in his direction. And I think that's going to kind of prove what the Seahawks are. And the Rams, too, had a horrible year last year, but they had a lot of injuries. I think Stafford's back and he's fully healthy. Even without Kupp, they might be able to keep it a close game in Seattle. I don't think they're going to win, but within 5 points probably.
I mean, we're going to see Geno Smith take hits. Hopefully it's not from his own teammates because he owed them money for something. But basically, I like Geno as much as I did not like Geno when he was in New York with the Jets and was a complete embarrassment sometimes of his own game. Not his fault 100%. But I like the way Geno played last year. I got to give him a lot of credit. He held the team up on his shoulders. Those were heavy. That was a heavy team to carry on his shoulders. But I don't know. What are the Rams? Matthew Stafford? Do you trust Matthew Stafford to lead the team anymore with all his injuries? I mean, that's a big question mark. And what's their offensive situation? I mean, I'm going to take the Seahawks. I think Geno's going to come out firing because he has a lot more to prove against some of these teams. So I'm going to take the fight.
This might actually surprise you guys. I actually was thinking about taking the Rams to cover, but here's the problem. I don't know if Matthew Stafford still has it. Like, if you look at what happened, he admitted that he was not in the best shape during the offseason. Like, he wasn't like the best. Like, I think there was something with like talking to his kids where like he didn't have the best recall.
Right.
Like, you're going to convince me that I'm going to be, it's hard to convince me that player still has much left in the tank. I feel like this is going to be another year where it turns out the Rams, Les Snead made a deal with the devil, and that deal was giving up all them picks. And this is another season where fuck them picks is going to come back and haunt them. So
when do they have a first round pick again?
I think we're going to be. I think everyone in this live stream will be in their, or not live stream. Everyone here will be in their 30s by the time they have a first round pick again.
So you're taking the money though, right?
I just turned 33.
Yep. I'm taking the money.
Wow, you're older than me. Jeez. Okay.
I like the pick that Nick and Paul had to cover for the Rams in this one, but the Rams obviously with Donald, obviously, their interior is going to be good defensively, but I just don't trust that secondary. There's not really much that at least that I look at there that obviously gets a lot out of me. But I like Seattle in this one. Kenneth Walker though is questionable. I really liked Seattle's running game last year. Obviously, if he doesn't go, that obviously changes a lot of things. But give me Seattle at -5. But it's really risky because I do think that the Rams obviously play Seattle tough, but without Kupp, I mean that's a game changer.
Yeah, this one was actually real. I mean, if Kupp plays, it's a different game. I think. Where I think
he's still questionable, right?
No, Kupp's already been pulled out.
Oh, then they're not going to win this game. He doesn't have his weapon.
We'll see what happens there. Tom is also taking Seattle -5 in up at Lumen Stadium. And by the way, I will say one thing. Geno, that was probably the best story of the year. One of the best stories of the year last year was Geno Smith. And I like the fact that we got Kevin, Mark, and Laura up there in Seattle because those interviews with Geno last year, they had a bunch of their games, and Geno came across as a very likable guy, and you got to like it. So,
well, he was taking receipts. You do know that.
Well, that was at the Monday night game, thanks to Hank's buddy Nathaniel Hackett.
Oh, you mean emphasis on the first four letters?
About that game is that people like it felt like such a big win for Seattle, but the Broncos were like the worst team in the league last year,
which is so true.
But it jump started Seattle though. You got to be. I mean, both of it could have been true in that regard. But we'll see what happens up there at Lumen Stadium. Sunday Night Football on NBC. It's Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark. Hank, it's the Dallas Cowboys taking on our New York Football Giants at MetLife Stadium, and the boys are 3.5-point road favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm supposed to get hyped by the Dallas Cowboys and all that and all that stuff. Have we not learned our lesson in years past? And guess what? I'm going to say this too. Dak is whack.
Yes, sir.
Overpaid, overrated, and I'm sorry, in front of a loud, blew-out crowd at MetLife Stadium. Give me the G-Men, baby. Let's fucking go.
Wow, I don't know about that.
I'm the other Giant fan here, so, just basing this off a spread, the Giants were the best team against the spread last season, going 13-4 against it and 10-2 as an underdog. That being said, I do think at the end of the day, the Giants are going to be better than the Cowboys, but the Dallas defense is still a dangerous unit. I'm going to fall into the trap in this game, though, because I'm getting an extra half a point, which just happened on Thursday. So I'm taking Dallas to win. I'm taking the Giants, though, plus the 3.5. I think it's going to be another close, like 23-20 game. The Dallas defense is still a dangerous unit in this one, and that's what ultimately concerns me, and I think is going to prevent the Giants from winning this. But I think they hold it inside the number. 23-20 Dallas wins on Sunday night.
I mean, can we look at the track record of the Giants and Dallas playing on opening night? Has it gone very well?
Can I just stop you for 1 second? I need to get a rant off. Can we stop playing the Cowboys either the first or second game?
Okay. And for the 10 millionth time, I'm going to say this. The NFL is doing this for what?
Ratings.
They don't need it for ratings, guys. They're the best thing by a country mile.
What's better for their
It's
ratings?
money.
Then?
I know.
But that's why they're doing it. They don't give a shit what the fans think. They want what's going to get them the most money.
And I'm equally as annoyed, although it might be the Giants' saving grace this year, that they're playing the Eagles 2 out of the last 3 weeks.
Oh, I think that's a mistake, to be honest.
Well, I mean, it's just so inconsistency in all of that. But anyway,
but track record alone, they don't beat the Cowboys on opening night. On that alone, I'm taking the Cowboys to win.
They don't fare well against any divisional opponents, especially at home. I mean, that's the ironic thing. If this game was in Dallas, I'd almost be more comfortable. It'd be a different story, I think.
Didn't they split on the road games, if I'm not mistaken?
Not against Dallas, they didn't. They lost both games to Dallas last year. And that's always been an Achilles heel, though. They cannot beat the divisional opponents.
And that's what's going to kill them if they don't win.
Well, I mean, given their schedule, but it's ironic because I trust the Giants head coach is better. I think the system is better, but just not in this matchup.
Mike McCarthy would rather eat the football than win.
Well, Mike McCarthy is good. Well, ironically enough, they probably brought in Trey Lance because of Mike McCarthy, but Mike McCarthy may not be there long enough before Trey Lance starts. That's Jerry's world. Just keep talking about a mediocre football team. I'm fine with that, though.
Too bad. We could have had Jerry as a guest on the podcast. Here.
Yeah, he didn't want to be roasted today, so I respect that. All right, Paul, go ahead.
I'm going to have the Giants for this one, but I'm going to still say that the Cowboys pull it off. But I think it's going to be closer than 3.5. This is going to be a really good game. Obviously, we're very accustomed to Cowboys Giants being on week 1, as you were alluding to. But it's both these teams are going to be neck and neck all season. So I think it's going to be a classic Cowboys Giants game that goes back and forth. I'll take the Giants at plus 3.5 though.
All right, so I'm gonna stick my neck out a little. I really like Dallas this game. I feel like I like Dallas a little bit too much. I feel like the Giants aren't going to be that good this year. I feel like they had a good year last year. I don't think it's going to continue. Dallas, I think they're not quite as good as Philly is, but I think that they're a solid second place in that division. It's only 3.5. It's not that big. To me, it feels a little bit like a 27-20 game. I don't think it'll be a blowout like it's been in the past in some of these Sunday night games, but 3.5, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it.
This was a tough one. The Cowboys, like Johnny said, took both games from the Giants last year, but they were close. At least if I can remember, at least they were pretty close, at least the first half in both of them. I'm going to go Giants taking the 3.5, but it's really risky because the Cowboys, I love their front. Obviously, Micah Parsons is leading their way there. but the coaching, I like Brian Dable at home. I just don't know with McCarthy on the road in terms of what he can do on the road. And at least in the past, it hasn't been great. So I'm going to go with the Giants at 3.5, but I'm really tempted to take the points with the Cowboys.
Well, the one thing I want to say, though, even though Trey Lance is never going to start a game for this team whatsoever, do you think that's like any wake up or motivation for Dak at all whatsoever?
Yeah.
I don't. I think it's more that they're going to try and revitalize his career because of Mike McCarthy.
I mean, I think it should be, because look at how bad Trey Lance has been, and they're still bringing him in as a quarterback. It suggests that either they think he's going to get hurt or that they don't believe in Dak, or at least think that there is the potential that Trey Lance is better. Like, they at least think that, because why else would they take him? Like, it seemed like such a bizarre move.
Well, also because they got him for, let's be honest, they got him for literally nothing.
Well, yeah, because he's worth literally nothing.
Or as Hank would say, a bag of Doritos.
Yeah, that's what he's worth. But, like, come on, that's got to mess with his head at least a little bit.
He had a very bad stretch at last year, if you remember, too. I mean, what did he have, like a 10 interception in 7 game sort of stretch last year?
He had like the most picks in the league almost.
That's
at one
why
point.
I got to be honest with you. The only reason why I'm taking Dallas to win this game is because of their defense. I'm not taking it based on the offense or anything. I'm taking it because of the defense. That's why I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, like 23-20. And I think that's why you keep it inside the number. By the way, also, Tom is doing the same thing that most of us are doing here. He's taking Dallas, but they don't cover.
Am I the only one who's taking them like actually covering, or Nick, did you take them covering too?
I took
them. No, 2 Knicks both took Dallas.
Took them out, right?
So
but
we
not
took
like all-out fashion, though, right?
No, but I'm saying the two of us took a straight cover.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. Well, we'll find out there at MetLife Stadium on Sunday night. And if that isn't enough, we have another primetime game at MetLife Stadium. This time on Monday Night Football on ESPN and Nick Morgasen. It's a Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Lisa Salters special featuring, I guess, can I say this? Your New York Jets?
Yes, you can say it. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Well, your New York Football Jets are home to take on, I should say, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets to take on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills are laying 2.5 in this matchup.
I mean, I'm going to say, I'm not being biased. Let me get that out there first. The Bills have an interesting situation going on with their chemistry issues. I mean, with Allen and with, I don't know why I always forget the receiver's name.
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs. I don't know. I keep forgetting because he's not in Minnesota anymore. But him and Stephon Diggs, like, they have weird chemistry issues. He was the one that did a speed run out of the stadium when they lost, right? I mean, I don't know what's going on. Their running back situation is interesting. Didn't they have someone get hurt on a speedboat or a motor, whatever, on the water?
Speedboat.
Okay. But
who was it?
Was that Hines or no?
Yeah, it was
not Hines. Yeah, it might have been him.
He's actually suing the guy that hit him. That came out tonight.
Of course he is.
Stay away from the water.
I don't blame him.
On land.
Go ask Aaron Boone about playing basketball. That's how we ended up with A-Rod in New York. I mean, like,
how about Jabba Chamberlain with trampolines?
Okay, we can make this list could go on for the next 3 hours. My point is, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to pull this off, and I think they're going to win. I'm not throw the Jets bias out there. I think they're a much better team this year. Their defense is Super Bowl caliber. No, I'm not stuttering. I mean it. I think they're one of the best defenses in all of the NFL. And with Aaron Rodgers over the quarterback who shall not be named anymore, I think they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to cover.
And even with the quarterback who shall not be named, we still won one of those games.
Well, yeah, that's true. I
and
mean,
if not for a drop from Braxton Berrios, we could have won the other.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
This is with Aaron Rodgers, which is like a totally different, like who's in a different stratosphere, basically. I mean, I don't know if I picked them to win outright, but honestly, I like the Jets, and it's not because I'm a Jet fan, and my pick is not even so much about the Jets. It's really more about the Bills. I don't know how good they really are. I mean,
that's what I think.
They'll be like the Mets were last year.
Yeah,
or they were supposed to be really good, and then at the end they just imploded. Like they couldn't even beat the Dolphins last year in the playoffs. Like maybe the Bills really just aren't that good.
I mean, that was one of my hot takes that they got to go further. Like everyone says, oh, they got to win the Super Bowl. They got to make it to the Super Bowl. Okay, make it to the Super Bowl then.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. Like, but it's also feels like one of these things where it's like, okay, the Jets were one of the best teams last year outside of the quarterback. And with Rodgers and him getting this fresh start, I feel like he's going to have a big game.
So do I. I think they're going to win the division. That's just how I see it.
I completely agree. I think they'll win the division too, and I think they're going to win this game too. I completely agree with you guys. I think that the Bills have possibly even lost their opening over the past couple of years. They had a golden chance to at least make it to a Super Bowl the past couple of years, and they blew it. And it makes a lot of people question like how good they really are, and I'm definitely questioning that too. So I think the Jets are a better team. I think the Jets are an all-around better team. I really like what they did, even if you take away the Rodgers signing too. I like everything that they did this offseason. So I'm taking the Jets to win this game.
You know
Ben?
what?
Oh,
sorry.
No, good.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go on a limb here. I'm going to go Buffalo. But Aaron Rodgers and Nick, both Nick's two of the Jets fans, knock on wood really quickly. If you guys don't know, Aaron Rodgers has won 8 to 9 straight Monday Night Football games, if I'm not stand corrected. So, they're playing a division foe. It's Aaron Rodgers' debut. It's a 9-11 game at MetLife. I really want to – so I'm going to take the Bills, but I'm going to take the points for the Jets. I think that the Jets are going to cover. It's going to be a really close game.
By the way, Aaron Rodgers 12-8 on Mondays in his career.
Yeah, so yeah.
Awesome. So Ben's got a heartbreaker there. It's been a very exciting game. All right,
yeah.
Hank, what do you think?
The Jets are going to be good this year.
At that game.
Oh wow, nice.
There we go. MVS.
I am going to go
fantasy.
That throws a dart, by the way.
I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, do I think the Jets will be better? Yes. I mean, you guys pretty much know I've been avoiding drinking the Jets Kool-Aid. And no, it's not because of my New York Football Giants bias. Don't get this twisted at all. But look, do I think the Bills are overrated? Yes, I do agree. Am I a little bit mad that I drank the Kool-Aid and they got clobbered in the home playoff game? Yeah, but you know what? That doesn't matter. I'm going to say Bills win by a field goal. They're going to just barely cover.
By the way, I have to ask the historian a question. When was the last time we had 2 primetime games at MetLife Stadium back to back?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't think that's ever happened before, actually. I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's happened in the same week. Like, I remember the week of the butt fumble, the Giants played the Packers on a Sunday night game.
You had to bring up the butt fumble.
Yeah, that's
I love
that's
that
the
game. I don't know what type of game you're talking about. I love that game.
You would.
Oh,
no, that's
I'm
the only
sorry.
one that I can think of off the top of my head.
I mean, I could remind you of the Patriots player jumping over the field goal and getting a penalty for that, too.
no. Part of it is you also have to think, when was the last time that both the Giants and the Jets were this good at the same time? It's been a long time.
That's a good point.
Probably
I would say
2011.
maybe 2010.
Yeah, I was going to say it had to be one of the Sanchez years.
Because
You mean when they made back-to-back AFCs.
Playoffs in 2010, they still finished 10-6, and actually, that was one of the last weeks that I can think of where. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure there was a week where the Jets had a Thursday nighter and the Giants had a Sunday night one. But you're right; it doesn't happen too often when the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to pull off. See, now, not to go off on a tangent, but I wish Giants Jets was Monday night because that would have been better.
That would have been great.
I mean, first of all, just from a fan perspective, I would have much rather played the Jets to get it out of the way, so it's not a distraction for later in the season.
Yeah.
But by the way, Nick, do you have an extra ticket? Because I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to watch this game.
I don't, but you're going to have to.
It's okay. I'll find some way.
Try sneaking in.
Might be the only way to watch
worst
this
case
game,
scenario, they carry you out. And
yes, exactly. No, I'll find a way to watch this.
Wait a minute. Is Johnny the only one who has Spectrum?
Go to a bar.
Yeah, well, some of the I'll find a way by hook or by crook. I'll find a way to watch this game. All right, now as far as picking this one, so if we go back to last year, the Bills couldn't score 20 points against the Jets in either of the games.
Oh wow! Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting thing to look at. Now, I don't know if the Jets' defense is as good as it was last season. I mean, it'll be better if they actually start getting some takeaways this year, but the offense is definitely, it looks like, is much better. And I can't say the same about Buffalo's offense. And I think one thing we learned, and I think you guys have been kind of echoing this, one thing that we learned from last year is I don't think the Bills are as close as they were as they've been in years prior. I think there's going to be a boost. There's definitely going to be some emotion. And at the end of the day, it's 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers, at least the healthy one, and not 37-year-old Joe Flacco, who's starting on the home opener for the Jets.
Good God.
So I think given the boost that they're going to get, see, I'm not as high in the Jets winning the division because I just,
Me too.
Aaron Rodgers, as great as he is, this is not the Chicago Bears and Detroit Lions in the AFC East or, having to face, the likes of Kansas City and some other opponents there in the AFC. But at the end of the day, Cincinnati, right? I'm taking the Jets to win this game outright against the Bills. I think they split against Buffalo, but I think the home field, I think the fact that Rodgers is healthy, at least for now, and the confidence and stuff that they have and the boost that they get with Rodgers is going to propel them to a win here on Monday night. So that's where we're going to go with. So the Jets plus the 2.5, yet another upset special for me to wrap up the first week of the league. And Tom is going to wrap up the week by taking the Bills minus the 2.5 against the Jets.
I could have told you he was going to do that.
Oh, you knew he was going to take that. Okay, so there we go. So that's what we're going to roll with here, and that's going to put a wrap on the week number 1 of Football Friday. So you can already tell the difference between this and last year, where we've got everybody here. Hopefully, we'll have Tom back next week. We've also got some other features as well that we're going to be working throughout the season. Like we've got a fantasy angle, we've got a betting perspective as well, Nick. Right?
Yep.
We're going to be working on all that, a bunch of not necessarily just games. Nick and I talked about we're going to try to do some props and all that stuff just to kind of mix it up a little so we're not doing the same old
There's a whole
thing.
lot of betting stuff I could do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nick, it's good to have you aboard as well. It's nice to have Ben and Paul as well join us for these Football Fridays. So that's just the first of many to come along this season. And of course, folks, if you like all this, check us out on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ETB Network. If you like our videos, leave us a like. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and, of course, have your notifications set so you know what all of our stuff's going to be coming out there. Also, check us out. If you can't listen to us, check us out at etbpodcast.com. You can check out Hank's blog posts, his football posts and all the other stuff that he's got coming out, and as well as all of our stuff from our ETB contributors. And if you can't watch us, listen to us on the go on your favorite audio platform, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can check us out there as well. And you can check me out, of course, on my Monty moments throughout the week here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. And, of course, back here for our Football Friday picks every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. Also, big special week next week because Nick and Tom are going to have episode number 200 of Empty the Bench. That's going to come away next Thursday. Big milestone, Nick.
Yeah, big milestone. Show's been on for over 2 years. Oi.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. I know I've filled in a couple of times as well. It's a great thing. Of course, you can check out Paul on the 3&D on Mondays. Hank on Hidden for the Cycle, actually coming up a little bit later on today here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network as well. So, guys, great to catch up with all of you. Just think we are just getting started.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is going to be fun. More people involved, which means we get more fun and entertaining content out of this. So,
definitely,
Tom.
Of course, good luck to your favorite teams as well. And let's make it a great week one in the National Football League. All right, let me catch my breath here as I say this. For Nick Morgasen, Paul Lombardi, Ben Kruse, Hank Indictor, Nick DiMartino, and Tom Albano, I'm Johnny Montalbano. Everybody have a great first full NFL weekend, and we'll catch you all again next week.